Hello, Honors U.S. History students. Today we have a video lecture on World War II on the home front. So it's what is happening here in the United States during the First World War. So take a moment, pause while you're starting your video to get out your paper and pencil to take some notes. And again, pause anytime you need to be taking those notes, writing things down, and also send me any of those questions on Remind if you are confused on something or need a little extra help. Right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so our first topic here is going to be economic, right? And so with this war, we're going to see the War Industries Board. We're going to see this exact same organization in World War II. So you're going to see a lot of similarities between both world wars. And this is going to be where we're taking all of our factories and making them turn into war factories. We're going to be making things for the war, weapons, food, uniforms. There has been a mention of something very similar to this currently in the news, and how some companies like Ford Motor Company is changing their production to not make cars, but to be making things like ventilators and things for our current pandemic that we're in. So very similar in that regard. Now, during this time period, we don't have television and we don't have radio yet. So we're using posters for all of our advertising. So you're going to see lots of posters today of all sorts of things going on that are going to try to help people, encourage them to do better with what's going on and help out with the war. Right. So with this War Industries Board, we're increasing production by over 20% in the country, right? And we have no unemployment because we're having all these factories kind of ramp up all of their production to help us with the war. Right. We're also going to be seeing rationing. This is a term that you've seen in other classes before, right? Rationing is just limiting the amount of something that you're able to get. So in this case for World War I, the amount of food or fuel one person can acquire, right? So again, rationing what we have so that everyone has access to it. Think about our toilet paper right now, all right? Okay, we want to ration that so that not everybody has access to some and not just a few, all right? Because we don't want anybody hoarding that stuff because yeah, we all need the toilet paper, right? You hear me on that? All right, it's rationing, right? And again, we're going to have lots of posters here. Here is where we're trying to have people make gardens for food, all right? Here they're trying to can their food, so canning jars and stuff like that. And they're going to can vegetables and fruit, and the Kaiser too. The Kaiser is the leader of Germany at this moment in time. Right? Here we're saying don't waste food while others starve. This is going to be referencing what happened in Belgium, right? If you've forgotten what's happened in Belgium, go back to the video on the causes of U.S. entry into World War I to review what's happening with the people of Belgium. Obviously, right, people are not getting a lot of food, bad things are happening. Right? Here we're having garden groups being made at different schools, right? Because even kids want to be involved in what's going on because we all want to help. All right, and here we're trying to save gasoline because again, we need those for tanks and airplanes and things like that during the war. Right? During this rationing phase, we're also going to be passing the 18th Amendment, which is the prohibition of alcohol. Right? Now, we do this during this time period with World War I because we need to have all of these grains saved to send to our soldiers, to send to people for food, instead of using these grains to make alcohol. Right? So this is how prohibition eventually is passed. Now, to make a good connection here, the 18th Amendment is prohibition. What ends prohibition is the 21st Amendment. So that's an easy one for us to remember because 21 is the age to drink, right? And so by having that number 21 amendment, all right, ending prohibition allows Americans to drink. 21 is the drinking age. So easy way to remember that particular number. Right, here's some pictures dealing with our economic impact. So you can see Uncle Sam here is taking food and clothes to the boys on the front, medical supplies, ammunition and guns, all going over here to Europe. Here there are women that are making shells in a factory, right? And all this is going to be dealing with mass production. So this idea where we're making more and more products, things are going to be more efficient, all right? And we're making them in mass, all right, to help out everybody. Right? Socially, right, from our pictures that we got over here, obviously we have women are going to be involved in this war, right? If you remember, this poster is in the classroom. Hopefully we get to go back soon. But that idea that she wants people to join the Navy. Here, women are going to be making munitions. That means ammunitions and things like that. And here's a picture of women doing those. right? So women's role is changing dramatically during the war. All of these guys are leaving off to go fight the war over in Europe, and so a lot of women are needed to fill those factory jobs in order to keep our war effort up, right? So you have women working in all sorts of things, railroads, factories, telegraph operators, right? Also a lot of them joining the Navy. Now with the Navy, what jobs would they have? They're probably going to be nurses. They're also going to be secretaries and people doing secretarial type of work, right? We're not seeing women fighting in a war at this point. Right? Another social thing we're seeing is new jobs, right? So we're going to have the Great Migration. We're going to look at some maps with that here in a little bit, right? And the Great Migration is this movement of African Americans from the South to all these northern and western big cities, right? And this is going to be from like 1914 to 1930 is when we're going to see this mass migration. A little throwback to Georgia Studies. If you remember from Georgia Studies, a lot of people were leaving the South because of the boll weevil, right? It was a little bug that ate all of the cotton. Right? So you're really poor with sharecropping, and then this bug's eating your cotton. That's definitely that push factor pushing you out of the South, and then those factory jobs available are going to pull you to the North, right? It ends in 1930 because of the Great Depression, right? Okay. However, with all this stuff, we are still going to be seeing racial tensions in the United States, right? And this is dealing with segregation in the armed forces. Okay, so here we have an image of the Harlem Hellfighters, right? And there are some movies that are about these guys if you want to look them up. If you find a movie that is online that's about the Harlem Hellfighters and want to share that link with me, I can send that out to the rest of the class. But these guys were known as these airplane pilots that were really, really successful. But again, they're all from Harlem, from New York, right? It is a segregated unit. When people are coming back to the United States after the war, you're going to have race riots over job competition in several northern cities. Things are not good. So it's kind of like we have a step in the right direction of all these people having jobs, but then a big step in the backwards in time. So here we have an image of African American troops headed to France. However, when you look at the image, right, you see what type of jobs they have. Everybody has instruments. They're the band. So unfortunately, what's going on here is that these units not only are segregated, but they're seen almost as entertainment. Here is a map of our Great Migration. So you can see you have the Deep South here is all of these mint green colored states, right? And then people are going up to these northern cities, right? And also out to the west, right? These are all major manufacturing locations, right? Because that's where we're going to be making stuff during the war. Right? Political impacts, right? We have the Espionage Act, right? Espionage means spying, right? Okay, so spying, sabotage, messing up what's supposed to be happening, right? So it's illegal to do that, right? Especially during a time of war, right? It's going to go against the war effort. Our example we had in our causes for U.S. entry was the Dumba affair, right? So this was the guy who was the ambassador from Austria-Hungary to the United States, and he was telling people to strike and stop the war effort. So sabotage, basically anything that's going to interfere with the military, is considered espionage. Right? We also have this guy named Eugene V. Debs, right? V is his middle name. It is not a court case, right? So Eugene V. Debs, this guy right here, right? He is going to be very outspoken against the war, right? He's an American Union leader, so he works with labor unions, specifically a socialist labor union called the Industrial Workers of the World, or the IWW, right? He is going to be in Canton, Ohio, where he is giving a speech against the war, saying all sorts of things. We're going to see some quotes from him in a second, and you'll see, make your own mind up if he should have been arrested for this or not. But he's basically going to speak out against the war. And with this, we definitely want to make a decision of kind of a real line in the sand between communism and socialism, right? They are not the same thing, right? They should not be used interchangeably, right? The idea of communism is what we are going to see in the Soviet Union, right? Socialism is stuff that we see all around Europe today. We see it even in the United States, the idea of having public schools that are funded by American taxpayers, that is a socialist idea. So, this is not a bad thing, all right? Communism is just an extreme form of this idea. So again, not the same word, right? If you're confused with this sort of thing, definitely look some stuff up online or ask me a question and I can help you out, right? Now, with this time period, we are in the beginnings of the this late 19 teens into the 1920s. We're going to have the Red Scare, right? Red here is representing communism. So people are scared of communism here, right? And so since socialism is sort of close to communism, that's going to kind of, people are going to be scared about these types of things, right? Because that communist revolution just happened in 1917 when the Russians left the First World War. Right? So here's some quotes from Mr. Debs that he said that got him arrested. So let's see what's going on. So he says, "To hell with war, to hell all who crave it. When masters rule the world no more, we'll need no wars to save it." So poetic, isn't it? But it's basically saying that these masters, or the people who have all the money, all these big businesses, are ruling the world and they're causing the wars. That means these people with these big businesses are making money off the wars, and the people fighting it are the people who work for these masters, right? So basically all of us, okay? So our another quote is, "Those who produce should have, but we know that those who produce the most, that is those who work the hardest and at the most difficult and menial tasks, have the least," right? He's basically saying these workers who are working really, really hard, they don't have anything. They're very, very poor, and they're the ones who are being sent off to fight in this war. Obviously, he's calling out the people in charge of our country, and they don't like that. And so he's going to be arrested for violating the Espionage Act, all right, because he is, quote unquote, sabotaging the war effort, stopping the war effort by having these speeches and pointing out what is happening in our country. Okay. Now we're going to get into immigration a little bit here, right? So dramatically, we're going to see these limits to immigration, right? Because we're during a time of war. So obviously, first off, anybody who is from these countries we're at war with are going to be told they can't come here. And we're going to set up these things called quotas. Quotas are limiting the number of people who are going to be coming into the United States. So what places are we scared of? We just said we were scared of people who are from the enemy, the people that we're fighting against in this war. So that would be Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. But also we just said we were scared of communism, that Red Scare. Where are those people from? They're going to be from Eastern Europe. Right? So in your guys' Unit 4 packet, right, there's a bunch of cartoons in there. Here is one of them. So definitely pause real quick, go get that packet, get this cartoon out, and definitely be filling in those questions, right? So in our cartoon here, we have a giant, cylinder going on here, this giant, funnel. Sorry, it's a funnel, not a cylinder, right? And Uncle Sam here is putting on the gate 3%. That's a quota, right? Okay, and he's limiting the number of people that can come from Europe. And the reason we're limiting these people is because we're scared of communism, and we're also scared of people from these undesirable countries. These countries were fighting during the war. So we're limiting who is allowed to come into the country, right? So definitely be filling that in on your packet so you don't have to do that later. Our last topic is a little bit of a review from last unit. The 19th Amendment is going to be passed here at the end of World War I. And remember, when we watched our movie Iron-Jawed Angels, right, we talked about how the women were protesting in front of the White House and they're having all these banners that are about President Wilson. So, President Wilson, what will you do for women's suffrage? Mr. President, how long must women wait for liberty? Kaiser Wilson, they reference him, instead of calling him President Wilson, they call him the Kaiser, which is how we reference Kaiser Wilhelm, the leader of Germany during World War I, right? And this whole idea of how we're fighting for democracy abroad, but we don't have democracy for everyone here in the United States, right? So he passes this 19th Amendment as a war measure, right, to thank the women for what they had done, but really that real reason is because they were protesting him, they were arrested and having those hunger strikes in prison in order to get that right to vote. Okay, and that's all we got for today. All right, so hopefully if you had any questions, you can send those to me, and I will see you guys another day. Bye-bye.